friends, prepare to delve into the captivating life of William Shakespeare. An incredible history awaits, so pay close attention and enjoy. Sonnet 1. From fairest creatures we desire increase, that thereby beauty's rose might never die. But as the riper should by time decease, his tender air might bear his memory. But thou, contracted to thine own bright eyes, feedest thy light's flame with self-substantial fuel, making a famine where abundance lies, thyself thy foe, to thy sweet self too cruel. Thou that art now the world's fresh ornament, and only herald to the gaudy spring, within thine own bud buryest thy content, and tender churl makest waste in negarding. Pity the world, or else this glutton be, to eat the world's due by the grave and thee. Sonnet 2. When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery so gazed on now will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserved thy beauty's use, if thou couldst answer, this fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine. This were to be new made when thou art old, and see thy blood warm when thou feel'st it cold. Sonnet 3. Look in thy glass and tell the face thou viewest, now is the time that face should form another, whose fresh repair if thou shouldest not renewest, thou dost beguile the world, unbless some mother. For where is she so fair whose unaired womb disdains the tillage of thy husbandry? Or who is he so fond will be the tomb of his self-love to stop posterity? Thou art thy mother's glass, and she in thee calls back the lovely April of her prime. So thou through windows of thine age shalt see, despite of wrinkles, this thy golden time. But if thou live, remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Sonnet 4. Unthrifty loveliness, why dost thou spend upon thyself thy beauty's legacy? Nature's bequest gives nothing, but doth lend, and being frank, she lends to those are free. Then, beauteous niggard, why dost thou abuse the bounteous largest given thee to give? Profitless usurer, why dost thou use so great a sum of sums, yet canst not live? For having traffic with thyself alone, thou of thyself thy sweet self dost deceive. Then how, when nature calls thee to be gone, what acceptable audit canst thou leave? Thy unused beauty must be tombed with thee, which used lives the executor to be. Sonnet 5. Those hours that with gentle work did frame the lovely gaze where every eye doth dwell, will play the tyrant to the very same, and rot the beauty of its summer shell. For never resting time leads summer on to hideous winter, and confounds him there. Sap checked with frost, and lusty leaves quite gone, beauty o'ersnowed, and bareness everywhere. Then, were not summer's distillation left, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass, beauty's effect with beauty were bereft, nor it, nor no remembrance what it was. But flowers distilled, though they with winter meet, lees but their show, their substance still lives sweet. Sonnet 6. Then let not winter's ragged hand deface in thee thy summer, ere thou hast distilled, a liquid prisoner pent in walls of glass, beauty's effect with beauty were bereft. Make sweet some vial, treasure thou some place, with beauty's treasure, ere it be self-killed. That use a heavenly treasure to abuse, to make a famine where abundance lies. Within this circle is many a fair face, if 10 times folded, make thee 10 times happier. 10 times thyself were happier than thou art, if 10 of thine had 40 times so fair. Oh, change thy thought, that I may change my mind, shall profit us and all whom thou dost love. Sonnet 7. Lo, in the Orient, when the gracious light lifts up his burning head, each eye doth gaze on his fair countenance, and from that sight the heavenly body makes a golden pilgrimage. But when from highmost pitch with weary car, like feeble age, he reeleth from the day, the eyes foreduteous now converted are from his low tract, and look another way. So thou thyself outgoing in thy noon, unlooked upon as humid vapors waste, shalt change thy shape as beauty withering soon, and from thy fair no mention shall be placed, unless thou couldst renew that light of thine, as old men do, by giving light to thine. Sonnet 8. Music to hear, why hearest thou music sadly? Sweets with sweets war not, joy delights in joy. Why lovest thou that which thou receivest not gladly, or else receivest with pleasure thine annoy? If the true concord of well-tuned sounds, by unions married, do offend thy ear, they do but sweetly chide thee, who confounds in singleness the parts that thou should bear. Mark how one string, sweet husband to another, strikes each and each by mutual ordering, resembling sire and child and happy mother, who all in one pleasing note do sing, whose speechless song, being many, seeming one, sings this to thee, thou single wilt prove none. Sonnet 9. Is it for fear to wet a widow's eye that thou consumest thyself in single life? Ah, if thou issue not, thou dost but die, and single life's an empty life and strife. The world will not remember thee, but if thou live, remembered not to be, thy single self no second will supply. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, a widow's tear is stained in all that waste. Ah, if thou marry, thou hast not left a wife, a hapless widow, since thou hast thy life, in this fair issue that doth bear thy name. All this shall the world find in thee, but thou art nothing without thee. Sonnet 10. For shame, deny that thou bearest love to any who seeks that huge extinction of thy beauty. Oh, change thy thought, that I may change my mind, shall profit us and all whom thou dost love. But if thou live, remembered not to be, die single, and thine image dies with thee. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, say, this fair child of mine shall sum my count and make my old excuse. This were to be new made when thou art old, and see thy blood warm when thou feelst it cold. Grant, if thou wilt, thou art beloved of many, but that thou none lovest. As fast as thou shalt wane, so fast thou growest, in one of thine from that which thou departest, and that fresh blood which youngly thou bestowest, thou mayest call thine when all the world hast all. Herein lies happiness, if thou shouldst live an everlasting monument to thee. So everything that holds all nature lives, the perfect shape of thy memory. Nature, as mistress of thy state, hath here set down the perfect copy of thy form. And if thou shouldst neglect the means to rear a fresh copy, thou wilt but deform the image of thy face, and leave behind a wilderness where beauty might be found. When I do count the clock that tells the time, and see the brave day sunk in hideous night, when I behold the violet past prime, and sable curls all silvered o'er with white, when lofty trees I see barren of leaves, which erst from heat did canopy the herd, and summer's green all girded up in sheaves, borne on the bier with white and bristly beard, then of thy beauty do I question make, that thou among the wastes of time must go, since sweets and beauties do themselves forsake, and die as fast as they see others grow, and nothing 'gainst time's scythe can make defense, save breed, to brave him when he takes thee hence. Oh, that you were yourself, but love, you are no longer yours, then you yourself here live. Against this coming end you should prepare, and your sweet semblance to some other give. So should that beauty which you hold in lease find no determination, then you were yourself again after yourselves' decease, when your sweet issue happily should bear. What justice can there be to kill the time that you do spend in this fair self-denial? You had a father, let your son say prime, and give him thy years to make thee new. For shame, deny that thou bearest love to any who seeks that huge extinction of thy beauty. Not from the stars do I my judgment pluck, and yet methinks I have astronomy, but not to tell of good or evil luck, of plagues, of dearths, or seasons' quality. Nor can I fortune to brief minutes tell, pointing to each his thunder, rain, and wind, or say with princes if it shall go well, by observation of the stars resigned. Yet fixed stars are ancient, and by them time's changing courses are forever set. But from thine eyes my judgment I derive, and thereby all the good or ill I know. For in thine eyes my stars I read, and find my life's whole course and fortune in thy mind. When I consider everything that grows, holds in perfection but a little moment, that this huge stage presenteth naught but shows, whereon the stars in secret influence comment. When I perceive that men as plants do grow, cheered and checked even by the self-same sky, then think I with the time's injurious hand shall ravish all too soon thy golden prime, that all that beauty which doth bless thine eye, the fading moments shall not long possess, but from the highmost pitch doth haste and fly, and then I give a new life to thy fame. And since the end is near, I will not hide the truth that I do love thee with my heart. But wherefore do not you a mightier way make war upon this bloody tyrant time, and fortify yourself in your decay with means more blessed than my barren rhyme? Now stand you on the top of happy hours, and many maiden gardens yet unset, with virtuous wish would bear your living flowers, much liker than your painted counterfeit. So should the lines of life that life repair, which this time's pencil or my pupil pen, neither in inward worth nor outward fair, can make you live yourself in men's eyes then. To give away thyself keeps thyself still, and thou shalt live though it be against thy will. Who will believe my verse in time to come, if it were filled with your most high deserts? Though yet heaven knows, it is but as a tomb, which hides your life and shows not half your parts. If I could write the beauty of your eyes, and in fresh numbers number all your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies, such heavenly touches ne'er touched earthly faces. So should my papers, yellowed with their age, be scorned like old men of less truth than show, and your true rights be deemed a poet's rage, and stretched meter of an antique song. But were some child of yours alive that time, you should live twice, in it and in my rhyme. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Devouring time, blunt thou the lion's paws, and make the earth devour her own sweet brood. Pluck the keen teeth from the fierce tiger's jaws, and burn the long-lived phoenix in her blood. Make glad and sorry seasons as thou fleetest, and do whatever thou wilt, swift-footed time, to the wide world in all her fading sweets. But I forbid thee one most heinous crime. Oh, carve not with thy hours my love's fair brow, nor draw no lines there with thine antique pen. Him in thy course untainted do allow, for beauty's pattern to succeeding men. Yet do thy worst, old time, despite thy wrong, my love shall in my verse ever live young. A woman's face with nature's own hand painted, hast thou, the master mistress of my passion. A woman's gentle heart, but not acquainted with shifting change, as is false women's fashion. An eye more bright than theirs, less false and rolling, gilding the object whereupon it gazeth. A man in hue, all hues in his controlling, which steals men's eyes and women's souls amazeth. And for a woman wert thou first created, till nature as she wrought thee fell a doting, and by addition me of thee defeated, by adding one thing to my purpose nothing. But since she pricked thee out for women's pleasure, mine be thy love, and thy love's use their treasure.